Hello and welcome to the new season and the latest edition of Up the Pilgrims. This is season 2, episode 1, and this is the podcast all about Boston United of the National League. I am joined once again in the new season by David and by Stedders. Hello guys, how are you both doing?
Oh, amazing, Damien. Amazing to be in the National League finally after 14 long years.
Hot. And I can't believe in 2 weeks we're playing Boston Town. But yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, all good.
Good, and it's been an interesting summer so far. I mean, obviously, since we got promoted, we've had that bit of excitement, and we've obviously gone up to the National League now. But it's been kind of slowly waiting to see who is going to stay, who is going to go, and who is going to come in, the new signings. And finally, it took a few weeks, but Boston have finally started getting some new players in. First of all, though, I'm going to mention a couple of players that have left the club, who were offered new contracts and obviously didn't sign them, and that is Kelsey Mooney and Jimmy Knowles, two strikers from last season who obviously did make a massive difference. Both left for Accrington Stanley, but I mean, when you offered a contract at a league club, you can't say no, can you? I mean, David, what's your thought on it?
Yeah, exactly my thoughts, really. They were two good young lads, raw talent, both of them, and they've been rewarded with the contracts to go and play in the Football League. And like you say, when there's a chance, you got to go for it. But I think it's an interesting recruitment strategy from Accrington, because if they're your only boys at front, granted they were good for us in National League North, but can they do it in the Football League? That's what I'm thinking. They might need to bolster their attack a bit more, because I to be honest, they were good, but were they that good? Obviously, I thought Mooney had some flaws. I was a bit, I was more happy to see Mooney go than I was for Knowles, and then Knowles joined him with him. So the two of them have gone off there. Like I say, best of luck to them. But if Accrington want to score goals, they probably need to bolster their attack a bit more. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, interesting, weren't it, that they both went to the same club in the end. Obviously, Kelsey's probably gone in and says, you want to take a look at my mate who's been playing with me up there as well, maybe. We don't know. They could have been sending scouts by the back end of last season as well. The really interesting part from both of them ones was actually the exit from the club, I thought. Jimmy Knowles gave off a really big leaving speech. We didn't get so much from Kelsey. But the one part that I did find very interesting from Jimmy's departure was the interview that he gave with their about their chairman. And he mentioned in that interview, Jimmy did, that if it happened to be another League Two club that didn't offer him minutes on the pitch, then he probably would have stayed. He said that the only reason why he went was because he's been offered minutes on the field itself. So good luck to them. Best of luck to them. Would have been I would love to have seen them both in a Boston shirt in National League. Could they have stayed and made themselves even more cult heroes for a season and progressed their season? They're only young lads. Maybe another year of us wouldn't have hurt. But, once you get offered that kind of money and that kind of step up, you can't fault it. And the door's always open, mate. If they're not firing in January, who's to say that it won't be roles reversed, or there's something written in there saying that we get first dibs on them if we're struggling up top as well?
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. I mean, I was probably more upset to see Jimmy go than Kelsey. I mean, Kelsey obviously did do, quite a bit for us last season. Obviously scored lots of goals for us, but there was still that bit of play in him where, he still didn't seem to be the finished package, I didn't think, in the Boston shirt. And like you say, he's still got a lot to learn. Will he pull it off at Accrington? I mean, time will tell, I guess, but yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to keep an eye on both of them and see how they do in League Two. And like you said, come January, let's see how they're doing. And you never know what can happen. So, Boston, I know, will always be looking to strengthen the team, I would imagine. So we'll have to go from there. Also, we heard from today that Deji Satona has now signed for Eastleigh as well. Doncaster Rovers have sold him to Eastleigh. I mean, Stedders, what do you take on that one?
Yeah, interesting player, isn't he? On his day can be an absolute stellar and Rolls Royce, but on his day also can only be an impact player, which we found out National League. Again, will he find himself better in the National League against more technical sides? We're going to find out twice this season ourselves. Interesting move for him. Best wishes for him as well. I'm not too surprised we didn't go back for him, to be honest with you. We only saw flashes. To me, he was only a 20-minute bit part player last season and an impact. We can't afford to get guys on contracts just that's going to be an impact player off benches, I'm afraid. That's not going to do us any justice in this league we're going into. We need guys that are fully committed, going to give us 90 minutes and offer us something different. So, yeah, best wishes to him. I can see why I didn't go back for him, but please, I can also see him being one that could haunt us, though, in them 2 games, which is horrible to say. He's that kind of player that will probably come back and have a stellar performance against us. But, yeah, best wishes to him. I'm pretty sure David probably echoes what I just said as well.
Yeah. In my opinion, he was only an impact player, 20-minute player, only came off the bench. To be fair, at what he did well, he was really good at beating defenders one-on-one, putting his skills out and trying to create opportunities against tired defenders. But like you say, we need everyone to step up, and a player off the bench that will only play 20 minutes, granted, could get us opportunities, but it won't work for the whole length of the game. Sorry. It's interesting. I also found that they paid an undisclosed fee for him off Doncaster, so Eastleigh must have really had an eye on him all this time and really going for it. It'll be interesting to see how he does. And like I say, I could see this one coming back to bite us a few times, but I'm not too disheartened by his departure. He lost me ever since the penalty the penalty debacle down at the Jakeman's against Speddymore, I believe, when he stole that one off Jimmy Knowles. And I think that is probably his reason for his downfall so far. Is it looks like from the outside he had a bit of an attitude problem, and I think that's why his time was a bit rough here at Boston. But no, best wishes to him, and I hope it works out. Just not against us in the 2 games against Eastleigh this year.
Yeah, so just for some of the games next season, 42 or so of the games next season, he can do well. But the other 2, whatever, no. So, right, going back to Boston United then. And some players have signed on this season, which is great news for the club. And the first one I'm going to start with, Cameron Gregory. David, were you surprised with that one?
I've been listening to Cameron's mum recently. I know she was in the fan base saying, she sits near me actually in the stand. She said, he'll sign. She was fully confident, and he was actually the first name to put pen to paper. I thought, wow, what a statement signing this is. We knew they were Football League clubs sniffing in him. We knew they were National League club sniffing at him, and we signed a contract. And to be fair, it looked very, very unlikely. I know the likes of Shrewsbury were definitely involved with it, and maybe even I believe he was offered to go to Portsmouth, or at least they were looking at him. Very, very interesting. This he commutes from Shrewsbury, so I was like, is it realistic that he's going to sign on for us? He's definitely got the potentially still a young goalkeeper. Remember, goalies go into their prime, or it said they're going to their prime at the age of 30. So still a lot of time to develop. And he's a top player, and I was really signed. But I know he loves Bazza, and I know he loves the club. So I'm just happy that he stayed and played it again another season for us.
That is.
Yeah, became a bit of a cult hero, didn't he? Like I say, towards the back end of last season. I wonder how much them end of season scenes, like we said, I think in one of the previous podcasts, paid dividends to it, like the trophy giving, the cult status, the hero status. That could all play a part into it. You know what I mean? He's going to be loved by us again for another season, and regardless of what happens this season. I think that Boston fans really just need to get behind him, because he's going to have a massive season for us this time around, isn't he? We're going to talk about the squad that we've got at the minute coming up, like you say, retained and new players. They've really bolstered and tried to keep that defensive spine going, haven't they? And sign on them very vital players, which you'll come on to. And he's, like you say, the star at the back there for us. Big season for him coming up, but we know what he's capable of. Very grateful to see him back next season.
And Stedders, you spoke to him at the celebration night, didn't you, as well? You did an interview with him. I mean, did he give the impression in that interview that he might likely sign on? Because obviously we weren't sure at the time.
He didn't give too much away, to be honest with you. I approached the interview actually in a bit different to what I normally would. I approached it as if like a thank you kind of thing, because I didn't know if we'd ever see him again, and neither did anybody other Boston fans. I think if you asked 99 out of 100 Boston fans would he sign on for next season, I think 99 will probably say probably not, if I'm honest. And we wouldn't see him again. But isn't it great that we don't have to start with a brand new goalkeeper at the start of the season? Remember, as well, do you know what I mean? That, again, he came to us from a relegated Kettering, which just shows that these guys again do their homework behind the scenes about these players that we're signing on, and make sure that the face fits in the club and the ethos they want us to work towards. And he's been stellar, hasn't he? He's been brilliant so far. And long may that continue.
Of course, and a lot of fans wanted Aaron Chapman back. He's now gone on to Hereford, hasn't he, for next season? So I'm sure he'll do pretty well there, I would imagine. But moving on to another player that signed on, Michael Bostwick, defender, captain, Marvel. He signed on for another season. And David, your opinions on that one?
Yeah, I believe this was a clause in the contract. Probably, I don't know the details of it. Maybe if we got promoted, he signs back on for another year. Been good all season. It was, to be honest, actually, no, scratch that statement. At the start, it took time, but you'd expect it to take time because we were building, and Cully was building his new squad. But I have to say, those playoffs games, the last 5-10, my word, was he a great defender. Oh my God. Everything was just Bostwick clears, Bostwick heads away. You listened on the radio and that's all you could hear. He was absolutely immense. And like I say, I think it was really the older spine that really just drove us on to the end and got us promoted in the end. And he's the captain and he's the leader. And he's the reason, probably why we did. He's just amazing at the back, and I'm just looking forward to him next season. His age, though, is a factor. He's getting on a bit now, so I think we may need to strengthen a bit more at centre-back, but you never know. He might be right up to scratch for these National League attackers, but we won't see till August.
No, of course. Stedders?
Yeah, great, weren't he? Fantastic throughout the season. Like you say, just got better as the season went on. What's really interesting about Michael Bostwick is that he obviously likes this hybrid system part of it. It'd be very interesting to see what happens if Boston survive this season coming up and then move to a full-time model. Will that suit him? I'm not sure. I don't know if he's ready to go back into full-time football. But that will have to be waiting to be seen. Let's just enjoy Bozzy whilst we've got him. The Bozinator and the Bozamobile, the 18 van, will be pulling up back to the JCS in August. And he'll win his fair share of headers in both boxes. I'd like to see him get on a few corners a bit more, though. Score a few more goals. I think that's probably where he lacked this season. I think he could get a few more for us, and they could be massive goals and vital for us. Come the push that we need in this National League. But yeah, fantastic to see him wearing the captain's armband. Like I say, he's hit the ground running at the back end of the season. If that continues into this season, what a player we've got on our hands and what a captain.
Oh, absolutely. You're right there. And another one that signed on, Keaton Ward, was another one. Was that a bit of a surprise, Stedders?
Maybe a little bit. But I think, again, was it clause in contract or age was something to do with this one, weren't it? I think it was.
I think it was a clause, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a clause written in there somewhere. But again, them scenes at the end of the season, he was the guy that got us that equaliser over at Brackley on that final day. So yeah, a little bit of a surprise with this one, to be honest with you. But I think the clause in the contract sealed the deal. His good mate Jimmy's not there anymore, unfortunately, to take him along. But we'll talk about one of his other friends that he's been holidaying with in a bit. Clearly, he's got his little black address book out for us and gave Cully a few names that he's fired over to them. So Keaton Ward, the player, yes. Keaton Ward, the football agent, yes.
Yeah. David?
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise, to be honest. I don't really remember him being that impactful, if I'm honest, really. But he's just been there the whole season. He's just been pipping away. Obviously, there has been competition in the midfield with Woods and Richards playing so well. There's only been that one spot really until we changed to the wide system. I was a bit surprised to say, if I'm honest, but it just bolsters the squad. Obviously, this year we get 5 substitutions in the National League, so the better players that we've got on that bench, the better. Really, we've got more options and more chances to win games, hopefully.
Just thinking about that, actually, just changing the subject briefly. I wonder if they're going to make the benches any bigger at Boston with the more substitutions. Interesting one.
The town end stand bigger as well, but I don't think they'll be doing
that. I guess time will tell for sure.
Yeah.
Another one that did sign on, which I'm pleased about, but I'm not too sure, and that is Martin Woods. We spoke quite at length about him in the final podcast of last season, and we were talking about the players that we think might go. And I think we were kind of saying, I mean, he was brilliant for Boston last season when he played. He really changed the game, in my opinion. I thought every time he played, we played better. He held that midfield. But I mean, he's 38 years old now. But obviously, he signed the contract, and he's now going to, stay with us. But do you think he's going to be a substitute player, David?
Yeah, well, I can see him coming a bit more senior this time. I can see him helping Cully. I know he has a lot with Doncaster's under 23s and youth system. He does a lot there, so maybe he might take a step back. But no, it's just good to see him in a Boston shirt, and hopefully the new shirts, as he was seen modelling today outside Kit Locker HQ. I can't wait to see what we've got this season. I hope they've printed lots, and hopefully we don't sell out in the first 2 hours like we did the time before. But no, good to see Woods back. Like you say, he was good. You just see the experience all over it. The team just had an uplift, and we played better when he was on the field. But like you say, age is a factor, and we'll just have to see. Does he have the ability to play in the National League anymore? Only time will tell.
Stedders?
Yeah, I think we've bought some players that play in his position as well, haven't we? So, this is going to limit his playing time as well. I think there's been a lot of discussions with these more senior players this season that we'll come on to, no doubt, the other senior players in the squad as well. These are guys know that they're not going to get as probably many minutes as they've had this season just gone before they sign these contracts. So it's really about desire and wanting to come back to Boston, I think, personally. And the thought of playing National League football and the thought of playing National League football at a club that, the fans love him, don't they? He's another one that the fans have loved. He's a stellar guy, isn't he? You know what I mean? If you go to, he's the one guy that I've had absolute pleasure with interviews from this past season. Always open for interviews, always open for a chat, always says hello. They're all friendly, don't get me wrong, but he's just always the one that just seems to be the most approachable and has really grasped the Boston-esque kind of like cult hero status. Especially, I think, the way at Hereford as well. It was fantastic that day, wasn't he? And we saw a nice little model of him in ROA end, if you've ever seen it, guys. A nice plastic doll with his head on it. Fantastic. We'll just grasp and embrace what we're all about. Stella Woodsy, I think if we get 15 or 20 games, if we get 20 games out of Martin Woods this season, I'm quite happy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you as well. The times I've gone down to training and gone to speak to some of the players and interviews, etc., with them, he's one that always is happy to talk to you, always says hello to you and makes a point. And there is another player as well who I will talk about very, very soon, who I found quite friendly last season, but we'll go on to that shortly because the next player is Dylan Hill. And were you surprised about this one? I mean, obviously, we understand, a great young player, great young lad coming through the ranks, one of our best players, arguably, last season. And started with the under 23s, but got himself into the first team and was undroppable at the end of the season. But, we were thinking, maybe he's going to go on, to pastures new, but he hasn't. He's actually signed. And Stedders, are you surprised that he signed and looking forward to seeing him again next season?
A little bit surprised, if I'm honest, but I think the one thing that's played into our hands really as a club is his versatility, isn't it? It's the fact that he doesn't play in one position. He can play in 2 or 3 areas for us. And let's face it, we're still short of a left back at the minute because ours hasn't signed on. which we'll talk about as well later on in this podcast. But he can play in a few positions for us. I think that's what one of the keys to this signing for us. And we've gone for the players that can play in a few positions for us, and Dylan can do that. And yeah, fantastic signing for us. A young developing player that we can tie down for another 12 months, put in a shop window, potentially get money for. It's business, isn't it? It's business, and they're doing the right business here. This is the right contract for him, for the club, for the fans. Let's see what he can do. Let's test him. Let's give him them games to go and test himself. See if he can pull it together. It's only going to be Boston's gain if he puts it together, isn't it? You know what I mean? So, yeah, fantastic signing. Welcome back, Dylan Hill. I'm a fan.
David?
Yeah, I'm a fan as well. He ran through brick walls all year. Never, ever let anyone down in terms of his like trying, and he just wanted it. He looked when we looked a bit passive, and sometimes you could tell there was that bright spark at left back or in midfield, and he was down. I was quite surprised, to be honest, when he signed on, because like most players last season, bigger clubs were sniffing, but yeah, like you say, it's a good option for him. It's a good option for us. He can play in, like Tom said, he can play in lots and lots of positions. It's quite a useful signing, to be honest, and I believe he's relishing playing in the National League. So yeah, get some more minutes in him, and we'll see how he does.
Yeah, and I just wonder though whether, because you were talking about if he has signed a 1-year contract, obviously come end of next season, he'll be out of contract again, and will he go for free, or will they look on, if he starts off the season well, will they look at possibly getting some money for him in January, do you think? But then I don't know how the rules go with the under 23s and all that, whether they could get any money for him at that point of the season. So be an interesting one, I guess. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But another two players that a little bit surprised that they signed on was Tom Leake and Zach Mills. And David, were you surprised at seeing these two sign on?
I believe I said that both of them should sign, but I didn't think they were going to get many minutes. And with the people that we brought in, you can see why. I mean, centre backs we haven't, but right back we definitely bolstered a bit. Zach Mills, let's start off with him. He, like I say, he's a cult hero around Boston. All the women love him, and most of the men love him as well. That he's got, but yeah, he was amazing. Like I say, he's one of the experienced players at the end of last year. And yeah, he's just been amazing recently. I remember that was probably Paul Cox's only real good signing in his era. But yeah, he's still playing for us now, 2 years on now, and yeah, it'll be good to see him again. But like I say, though, will he have that much playing time, especially with the right back that we bring in? I don't know. Moving on to Tom Leake, I was quite surprised at this one. I can't lie. I saw Ethan Sefton went, and all the, as I say, the Birmingham group, Kelsey Mooney, they were known to like carpool down to training and games. I was quite surprised that he stayed. I can't lie, but maybe that's just him developing as a player around the group. I can't see him making that much of an impact, but you never know. We might not sign another centre back, but I believe we probably do need one with a fair bit of experience to try and stay in this National League. But yeah, good to see them back. And like I say, with the 5 substitution rule, more quality off the bench is needed, and I just think he's just a useful player. Really, we saw he came in when Mills was in. No, Mills came in for him. Sorry, but yeah, they're just sort of interchange, and they can play across the back line, and that's what we need. Oh, hello.
Oh, so we've had a bit of technical there. I'm back. Yeah. Are you back? We're all back.
Yeah, we are back. We are fine.
We're fine. We're here. We're fine.
Yeah.
Technical issues. The sun's getting in the system. That's what it is. The hot weather is affecting the system today.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, Stedders.
Yeah, like you say, interesting. Them two. They're probably vying for one place, maybe to play between them, possibly. If that's probably the reason behind the two signings. Maybe the fact that they can vie for that one spot, maybe that's going to be available to them. Who knows? They might go for another centre back, like David says. Has Mills still got the legs to do that right back role for us? I think the sign that we'll talk about again in a bit might just like prize him out of that one. But again, if we get good minutes out of Mills. I like Leek. I liked Leek at Peterborough Sports. He was the game that he came on and like you say, showed his mustard. I thought that night it was excellent that night. He's got it in him, and like you say, I just hope he gets enough minutes this season to warrant himself. He got a bad injury, didn't he? And he was playing well up to that point as well. You remember, you know what I mean? And it just so happens that Mills came in and played just as well. So yeah, maybe they're going for one spot, but yeah, surprised by the Leek one. Probably more than the Mills one. Great to see Zach stay around though. And like you say, his appearance record's just totting up lovely for Boston, isn't it? I can't think of how many times he's played now. He's up into like the higher echelons now, isn't he? I think he's in like top 10.
Wow,
that's it exactly. I was actually, I mean, Tom Leake was one of a contender for my player of the season last season. In the end, I did go for Jay Rowe, but so I'm pleased that he has re-signed again this season. And yeah, with Zach Mills, I think, you know, time will tell whether he'll get on the pitch. We'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, we could put some players in and who else he brings in. The next player is one that I know, Stedders, you'll be very happy about that he re-signed, and that is Jordan Richards.
Yes. This guy's stellar, isn't he? He's fantastic. What a guy, eh? You know, what a player, and more than capable of probably joining Kelsey and Jimmy down at Accrington. Let's be honest. He's League Two.
Yeah.
He could play in League Two. I have no qualms about Jordan Richards playing and stepping up to a League Two club and being able to play the way he has been doing for a League Two side and doing a bloody good job. Let's be honest. The fact that we managed to nail him down for another season is a fantastic signing for Boston. And again, he's only young, isn't he? He's not very old. So another year out of him here at this level to test himself. He's doing it. He's doing it the step-by-step way. Some of them like doing it this way as well. And again, maybe the hybrid suits him. You know, maybe that's the kind of thing that's swaying a few more of these players to sign on this season. The fact that we've not jumped from hybrid to full-time, and the fact that some of these guys are now into the groove of the hybrid, they might like this. The fact that they basically get full-time football for a day off more a week, or to do something else with a family, or go to work, you know, whatever they do with that extra time. So yeah, Jordan Richards, fantastic signing for Boston, and I won't be surprised if he's picking up another award at the back end of this season coming as well.
Yeah, I thought this one was massive. Really, he was amazing. Dan, all season he's one of them players that you don't really notice is on the pitch, but that's sort of where a defensive midfielder plays well. Literally, just won the ball back and passed it off, and that's what you need to do to stop some creating opportunities. I remember a significant moment from last year involving him as he ran. I remember it was about the whole length of a pitch to defend. Or put it out for a throw or something like that when someone was on a counter attack. I can't remember who that was against, but
it was Hereford. It was Hereford away.
Oh, it was Hereford challenging for the playoffs. Yeah, that just shows how much drive and passion he has. He's an amazing player, and like Tom says, he could play higher. And I thought this was a great signing when he signed. I was really, really well pleased, and yeah, it's just exciting to see him in the Boston shirt for another season.
Yeah, it'd be a good signing. It'd be good to see him back on the pitch and in a Boston shirt. Now, just going back, something you did mention, Stedders, as well, about the hybrid system. And we've decided to stick with the hybrid system by the looks of it this season. You know, so like you say, the players do get an extra day off. But I mean, compared with some of the other clubs in the National League, how do you think Boston are going to cope with that against other teams? Because with the fitness levels, etc. Because I mean, I found last season we seemed to struggle against some teams that were only part-time in the National League North, and you know, and now this season we're going to kind of. Do you think it will have a positive impact, or do you think it, you know, we might struggle against some teams?
Well, one thing for sure is, unfortunately, a football club's not run on fitness, it's run on business. And this is the business decision, because basically the hybrid theory is us for this season, hoping that we survive, to then go and then take on that full-time role next season. That is the idea behind it. You know, we're businessmen. He's a shrewd businessman, Mr. Newton. He's not going to put all his eggs in one basket. and hopefully chuck a load of money at it for full-time football and hope it sticks, that we stay up. And let's face it, it's the right way to do it. We're not going to bankrupt ourselves and find ourselves in a position like some of these clubs have, going back down the leagues again, and having thrown all our eggs into that basket, hoping and praying it's going to work. So the business side of things, fitness-wise, I don't think it'll be much of an issue, to be honest with you. I think that they'll step up to what they need to. A lot of these guys have got some Football League appearances behind them as well, and some in the National League as well. Yeah, I can't see it being a problem. I think they'll step up against the opponent they play against. Boston seem to play better against better opponents who play better football against them. And we're going to get that in this league, aren't we? We're not going to get many teams that are going to lump it 60, 70 yards against us in this league. They're all going to want to try and pass it around us, which I think will actually play into Boston's hands.
David?
Yeah, no, this system, this step-by-step hybrid, then full-time has been done before. Gateshead and Altrincham have both done it. And look where they are. Gateshead only narrowly lost the playoffs last year because something to do with their ground tenure. And
that's right, yeah.
Altrincham have done well ever since in the National League. And yeah, you could argue why we didn't do well against these part-time teams last year. I'd say that's probably the youthfulness of the squad creeping in, probably, against, because they all go to work and they're all like sort of, the part-time teams attract older players. Not saying that they don't, but have younger players, but they attract older players just because of the way that they're ran and their typically their play styles. But yeah, like you say, this year we'll be playing against hopefully better footballing teams. I know Tamworth, I've read a few articles that Tamworth are sticking to their guns and they're going to try and play the same way. We'll see how that ends up for them. Like you say, Boston last year, we're better against footballing sides. And like Tom says, I think it'll play into our hands really. And hopefully we can get the results to stay in the National League, because that's realistically, I think that's a realistically possible thing to be aiming for. We don't want to be getting mid-table or top 7. I don't think we've got the financial capability. We just have to try our best and stay in this tough division.
Absolutely. And anyone watching or listening to this podcast as well, if you want your say on how you think Boston are gonna do, you can comment on the social media where you see on the platform, whichever platform you're on, and we'll try and read them out in the next episode. One final player that has signed on this season, which I haven't mentioned just yet, and that is Jake Lovelace. He signed on, goalkeeper, for backup then for Cameron Gregory. Do you think it's a decent signing to have him on the bench or around about the first team?
Yeah. It looks good. Like you say, we're just holding on to our youth really. Like you say, he's the number 2 at the club. Boston lad, Boston born and bred. It's just nice to see him back again. I know he's involved with the under 23s. He I believe he went on loan to Skeg Town, played Saturdays, which is why he wasn't in and around the squad last year until the very end, until the playoffs. But yeah, it's just good. He's got a lot of talent, that lad, and hopefully we'll see him in a Boston shirt in a few years.
Stedders?
Yeah, totally agree. I think it's a good signing for the club, like you say, local lad, product of the system, and come through the ranks. Yeah, fantastic signing for Boston. And like you say, he'll probably get a few more substitute appearances, being able to name so many more this year. So yeah, probably, it's not going to be a case of him going out on loan all season this time around, I don't think, or out on like a dual contract. He'll get his fair share of travelling with the first team and doing what he needs to do. If, God forbid, but if Cameron gets an injury, will he be Boston's number 1? Time will tell. Boston might have to make another signing if they need to in that number 1 position if Cameron does get an injury. But that's a good issue to have, isn't it?
It is. And like you say, with 5 substitutes, I can imagine that he would most probably be, named on the bench a few times as and when they can. Not just to make up the numbers, but obviously it's good to have the goalkeeper on the bench, isn't it? As a reserve, just in case anything happens. I mean, obviously last season Cam got injured in that one game, didn't he? And but managed to play on for the whole game, and then was obviously out for 2 or 3 months after that. So. Yeah, that's how important it is to have a goalkeeper on the bench if you can, really. So, absolutely. And of course, Jacob Hazel was already signed on for next season. How do you think he'll do up front for Boston, David?
Yeah, this one's interesting. Obviously, it's good business to keep him on. Obviously, we only signed him, I believe it's in January time. So, like you say, good to keep him on for another year. This will be interesting because we've not seen a lot of him. I thought when they started pushing him into the squad at the end of last season, he looked very, I don't know, unfit. Obviously, we saw the fruits of his labour when he first came through the door, and we thought he was the magic man. Anything he touched used to go in the goal. But at the end of last season, he struggled with fitness. But hopefully, that's not an issue, and he needs to hit the ground running. And hopefully, we see more of the first version of Jacob Hazel than we saw the second.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Stedders.
Yeah, huge season, isn't it, for him? Because it's going to be the goals, I think, at the minute that we're going to have to try and to keep us up there at the minute. I mean, if once we go through this list of squad that we've got at the minute and the new additions in a moment, we'll realise firepower up the top there. I think we're lacking in. So it's a massive season for Jacob Hazel. We're going to need a lot of appearances out of him. We're going to need a lot of situations where we're going to need to get the ball to his feet and work around him and get some willing runners off him. We need width. We need pace. And that's where Jacob Hazel works best, when he's got people that runs around him as well. And he's an opportunist. He's an opportunist striker, isn't he? The goal at Scunthorpe at the last minute, an opportunist strike into that corner. We need to get into them positions where he's going to win us games 1-0. I think 1-0 is going to be a massive scoreline for Boston this season. I can see us winning games 1-0 and losing games 1-0. I can see it being a very big trend. We're going to be one of them teams, I think, that we're either going to win or lose games 1-0. And Jacob Hazel might just be the difference between them two results.
Mm-hmm. Let's hope so. Well, we're still waiting to hear on Jay Rowe and Brad Nicholson. I mean, they're out of contract with the club. They haven't re-signed at the moment. So, David, I mean, do you see them signing on now?
No, it's probably most guaranteed that they've left. Like I say, they are both good players. Brad Nicholson struggled a bit at the start of the season, but like I say, really came alive in the playoffs. And Jay Rowe, we all know how good Jay Rowe is, and they deserve to play high. The only thing with Brad is I don't know whether the reason why he didn't discuss the contract. We all know Jay Rowe could play high, but could Brad Nicholson play in the National League week in, week out? And that's probably a factor. He's probably not been guaranteed game time by Culverhouse, as we brought in a new left back at the moment, maybe to cover him, or maybe we're just thinking on doing that, or maybe not transfer anyway. But yeah, Jay Rowe, we all know we were going to lose him. We should get a fee for him, and Brad Nicholson, I believe, is too old for us to get a fee for him. But no, we wish him. He's been linked a lot, Brad Nicholson, with Scunthorpe and places like that. I can see if he goes to Scunthorpe, I reckon he'll do a good job there.
Stedders.
Yeah, totally agree with both players on that one. Jay Rowe deserves his chance to play at a higher league. I think personally he can do a job up there, and Brad's been fantastic, but I just don't think he will get the minutes that he wants. And he's probably a player that that wants them minutes, and that discussion's been had with him probably, and just said you're probably not going to get enough game time this season. You know what I mean? Or you're going to get limited game time this season. So if you sign on, expect that. And what's the point in signing Brad Nicholson on now and then just loaning him out? There's no point, is there? You might as well just cut the ties with him now, let him find a new club. I think Brad can do a fantastic job at National League North. I think a Scunthorpe would fit him very well, somewhere around that area. And I think Jay Rowe's probably destined for maybe a Grimsby. I think that was the one that's been heavily linked with Jay Rowe, as well as a few other places as well. But we'll have to wait and see on that one, won't we? But yeah, no, best wishes to both, but I can't see either of them being in a Boston shirt come August.
See Jay Rowe went up at Accrington Stanley.
Well,
a link up. Triple threat to Boston.
You never know. Right. Well, we have signed a few players this season. We've added to the squad, which is great.
Finally.
And yeah, it has been. It's been slow coming, but they have finally started adding players. Not sure on too many of them. You guys might know a bit more about them. No, I do. First one, we're going to talk about Frankie Maguire. He's a 20-year-old midfielder. He made 22 appearances for Chorley last season, scored 1 goal. David? Good
Yeah,
signing.
we touched on this earlier. This is Agent Awards doing. This it's quite a decent signing by the looks of it. But just we'll touch on this. I say we'll probably do an overview at the end. But he's a young lad, not much National League experience. He's never played at a higher level than this. He's just been released from Sheffield, like you say. He played for Chorley, Chester last year. Didn't go too well at Chester, but already Chorley fans are raving about him. Plays central midfield. Nice to see. Gives us more options really, and I'll be interested to see what he can do.
Stedders?
Yeah, I'm excited by this one actually. I want to see him play and see if he can do it at this one. Just let's go back quickly though to what you mentioned about these signings. Boston's never been one for doing business and signing loads on. They've always been a drip feed. If you notice, even the retained list, it's always been a bit of a drip feed with Boston. You'll never get like loads of news, and fans go ecstatic and batty if nothing happens for like 2 days. You know what I mean? It's crazy, isn't it? But Boston's always been this way. Boston will always be this way. They're just going about their business very quietly and just picking the right players. Frankie Maguire, I think, suits Boston to the ground. A young player, come from a good club. But come on, and he played for Sheffield. He signed up for Sheffield for I can't remember how many years it was. He was 8 years old or something like that. So he's been there a long time.
He was there a long time. Yeah.
They don't keep players on their books, mate, for that long if he's not got something about him. I'm excited to see what he can do at National League level. It may just mean like the likes of Martin Woods doesn't get as many minutes out there because, like you say, that's where he plays in that kind of position. But really excited to see how Frankie Maguire gets on for Boston and hits the ground running. And, chemistry between him and Keaton Ward could be vital again on the pitch. So, as well as off it.
I was just going to say that as well with with their good friends as well, know each other outside of the game as well as on, in the game. That could prove quite a good duo in midfield for Boston. So that'll be really interesting to see how that turns out. Mm-hmm. Next one we signed, Kieran Coates. He's a 22-year-old fullback, signed from Chester, 25 games last season. Stedders, a good signing.
I think David put him in his National League North Team of the Year, didn't you, David? So it must be a good signing. Yeah. I think he did.
Got to be.
Well done, David. No, isn't it amazing though, isn't it? All these players that we've signed from National League North clubs, like you never remember them playing against us. It's really odd, isn't it? Because I don't remember Frankie Maguire playing against us, to be honest with you. Or Kieran Coates. But again, I'm excited by this signing. Could he be the new J. Rowe? We're about to find out. He's got a hell of a job to do down that right side, though, isn't he? But he looks like an absolute tank. Which is fantastic. They've gone for, again, really muscular physique guys this time, haven't they? They've really gone for the good-looking chaps as well, which is great. But no, excited to see what he can do for his old Kieran Coates down that side. Big shoes to fill with the old J. Rowe obviously departing. We're going to have to get a lot of width, and width's going to be key to this season again. We lack a bit in width players and wide. Get the ball wide, get the ball into the box. That might have to be a new way for looking for goals. But Kieran Coates, I think, is a very plus signing for Boston.
David?
Yeah, just touching back onto what you said about Frankie Maguire before. The only reason that you didn't see him play is because we made Chorley look like dog and duck when we played him. But no, back onto Kieran Coates. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this bloke. Wow, he's a great fullback. He likes to get forward, likes the ball at his feet, and likes to dribble. I think he could be the next J. Rowe. He's had a decent youth rising. He came through the Stoke Academy. He was released in the 2021-22 season. But yeah, it'll just be interesting to see how he does. I believe he'll do quite well for Boston. And I just think he's got big boots to fill, but there's every chance that he could do it.
Yeah, he's one I'm looking forward to. I think, like you said, Stedders, earlier, he looks like he's built like a tank. So I think that's going to be an interesting one to see how he plays. I'm looking forward to seeing him play. And like you say, he was in your Team of the Year, David. So that can't be bad. he's got to be half decent. So there you go.
Like I'm a king. I'll be doing something else if I was that good at doing stuff.
New manager of Boston. Here we go.
Yeah. Maybe on Football Manager, but not in real life.
There you go.
Yeah.
The next one we signed, we got rid of Kelsey and we signed Dan Mooney, signed from Altrincham, 24-year-old forward. He scored 1 goal last season in 15 appearances from Altrincham. Stedders.
Well, let's face it, the only goal this man's going to be reminded about is the one that he scored against Peterborough
Yeah.
in the playoff final for Altrincham, the last goal scorer ever at York Street, and we go and sign him to play for Boston. Thank you ever so much, Dan Mooney. Heartbreak, that still hurts today. No. Interesting to see where he's going to play, isn't it? Is he going to be another right-sided midfielder that's going to cut in, like a right attacking midfielder? I assume that's where he's going to play and cut in, a bit like a Jimmy Knowles kind of role. And that's where they're going to try and fit him into the side. Can he get enough goals for us or enough service to Jacob Hazel to score the goals that we need to keep us up? Like I said, attacking-wise, I'm a little bit concerned at the minute. We're a bit light on the ground. But, yeah, again, we've not gone for proven National League players. Can he make that step up? These, like I say, the management know what they're after. They're not just going for anybody that's just available on the market. They're going for a certain critique of player. Can Dan Mooney step up? If we're here sat talking in 3-4 podcasts time, what a great signing this is. I'll be a very happy man. So, yeah, welcome to the club, Dan.
Yeah, got to agree with you there, David.
Yeah, he made over 100, I believe, in his career. He's made over 100 appearances in the National League, Southend last year, and at Altrincham. Yeah, he plays in that on that right hand side. I can see, like Tom says, being in that attacking midfielder, just behind the strikers. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does. I believe his last few clubs, he has struggled for confidence. I'm in this group chat with a lot of the National League fans, and they say that on his day, he's a great player. You get good sparks, great sparks out of him, but when the lows are low, he really struggles. But that's the thing, he's coming into Boston United, newly promoted club, not as big as Southend and the other clubs that he's played for in the past. Maybe this will suit him. Maybe there's less pressure, and that's what he feels. He just needs to be a bit more confident. But no, yeah, I'm excited to play. That is probably one of the only more experienced signings that we've made that's had a lot of experience so far. But no, this, like Tom says, this is the Boston way of doing it. We'll just go about our business and turn up on the first day of the season and hopefully surprise someone.
Yeah. And the next one, Adam Marriott. 6 appearances while on loan at Boston United. Didn't score any goals. Signed from Bromley, 33-year-old.
Bloody hell.
Stedders?
Well, I think the jury's out on this one, isn't it? Completely. I can see pros and cons of this signing. He looked a bit of in different shape in the video, though. If you look at the shape he was in when he came on loan, he looked desperately unfit, didn't he, from playing time? And he looks like a different man now. Yeah, he's turned it around in terms of that. National League experience, scoring goals in this league, absolutely vital. Can he still get us them goals that we need to play? Will he play in front of Jacob Hazel? That's the next question you've got to ask yourself. Or will he be more of a squad player and come off the bench? Has he still got it in him to do it? These are all questions that we need answering from Adam Marriott. We saw very, very small glimpses of anything or nothing really in that loan period when he came to us the first time. This is strike number 3 for Adam Marriott, and this will be his final strike with Boston United. This is it. It's 3 strikes and you're out, mate. So let's see how he gets on. I think we're going to see a different one when it come end of pre-season to what we saw last time. Let's all give him a go and see how he gets on. And again, it'll either make or break, won't it? It will either be loaning him out come January, or we'll all be raving about how good Adam Marriott is for Boston.
Exactly. Yeah, David?
Yeah, bloody hell. I'm not usually one to jump the gun, but this looks interesting. It's like Kalicia's got the black book out of his mates and he's signed him, giving him, do you want another go in the National League, mate? I'm quite critical. Like you say, Tom, we saw absolutely nothing of him in the 6 games. Granted, he has had an injury, but still, that's the thing. I have heard rumours though that he's lost about a stone to a stone and a half. And that was the agreement that he's had with the management team to play. Obviously, looks a bit fitter now. and he just hope he can rekindle his wonders of scoring that he had against Kingston, against Boston and other teams in the National League, and not the one that he had last time. That we just got hope he's quite similar to Jacob Hazel. That's the thing that really like is an outlier to me. Up top, we've not got legs. I don't think we can run. Hazel's not he's quick, but he's not that quick. He's Marriott, who they all sort of stand in the box and wait for balls to be passed to them. We don't really have anybody who's willing to, except the fullbacks. Obviously, they get forward, but we don't really have any like strikers that are just get the heads up and run towards goal. And that's what I think what we need, and we need to strengthen. We need some pace in that attack. And I'm sure the management team got it all worked out. But I believe this one could turn a bit sour come a few months in. But I hope he proves me wrong.
Yeah, and he was the guy as well that I was saying earlier. You know, when I went down to the ground last season, you know, he was quite friendly though. You know, I had a good chat with him before. I did actually get an interview with him before one of the training sessions, and yeah, really nice guy actually though. You know, I had a good chat with him before I recorded an interview. So he does come across a nice guy, but on the pitch, we'll just have to wait and see. Another one, the next one is Sam Osborne, signed from Buxton, midfielder, 23 appearances, 8 goals last season, so not too bad. Stedders?
Yeah, like you say, not too bad at all. I don't think this one. I think this is a good option for us. From what we've probably can add to our midfield, I think Sam could probably do a job for us there. I hope he doesn't turn out to be a Sam Smart. That's my issue. You know, it does reek a little bit of that, doesn't it? You know what I mean? It could turn again, like David just said, turn sour very quickly if things aren't going his way, and he might not struggle to get minutes. We'll have to wait and see on how Cully and Basil want to play it. But yeah, an interesting signing from old Buxton. We have some good links over there, isn't it? Obviously, Craig Elliott has done some bits over there, hasn't he? So we've just raided our old managers club again for another one, but we'll have to wait and see how he gets on, won't we? But yeah, no, interesting. I think this one is all about how he wants to apply himself.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, I like him. I like him as a player. I remember him. I remember him scoring against us for Fylde, and you know how much I don't like Fylde, and obviously I didn't like him. But no, as a player, he's pretty tidy. I think he's good on the ball. He likes to pass it about. I reckon this guy may and has the opportunity to be one of the star players in this team this year, slinking up the play, moving the ball, and getting forward. And hopefully he can do that and get involved in some goals. Like you say, 8 goals in 23 isn't a bad return, to be honest. It looks like sort of at the end of the back end of last season that Craig Elliott's either changed system or he's just had a little bit of a falling out with him. But no, hopefully he's all right and good to go. I reckon he'll be able to make the step up to the National League. I'm a big fan of him, and I hope he does well.
And of course, the final player we signed just recently was Cameron Green. Got him from Welling United. Midfielder, he played 46 times last season, so just about every league game. He scored 2 goals and a 25-year-old. So he sounds like a decent midfielder. David?
Yeah, he's like you say, played every game, formerly of Wrexham and Bromley a few years ago. Looks like proper talent. Like you say, it's proper cool house fullbacks. You look at both of them and they've got bags of pace. They love to get forward. So I think we'll be playing that 3-5-2 a few times this season. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he does. Obviously, makes the move from the National South. Obviously, that's interesting as well. I don't know where he lives, but you'd think he lives in the South. I think he's actually London based or somewhere around that. I followed him or something. Something gave me that inkling. But yeah, that's interesting that we're signing, that we're looking, and it's good that the scouting team obviously getting around. Obviously, that is their job to go and watch loads of players and pick targets. But it's just good to know that we're looking at the southern options as well, not just the northern ones. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he does. But I think he'll make the step up. He's played about 20 games in the National League, and I believe a few in the Football League. So yeah, I think he'll be fine.
Stedders?
Yeah, I like the look of this one completely. Yeah, I like this one. I think this is a good signing for us. I think that David maybe followed him because we was linked with him a few weeks back, weren't we? There was a lot of rumours going around on Twitter, weren't there? About 3 or 4 weeks ago about this guy coming from Welling, and it turned out it wasn't him at that point. And then all of a sudden he just signs the other days, which is fantastic. But no, could be a great addition. This one, I think. Like you say, fullback's going to be absolutely vital for us this season again. Trying to get that width, trying to start things, get into creative midfield players and bombing on, trying to get some quality into the box to hopefully get Adam Marriott on 20 goals and Jacob Hazel on 25 and get Boston right up that National League.
Absolutely. And of course, Cameron Green, ex-boyfriend to Michael Owen's daughter, I believe, as well. So I hear in the news. Yeah, so so we won't be seeing Michael Owen down at the Jakemans anytime soon, I would imagine. I don't know what happened, why it ended, but there you go.
Might need to put his boots on if we don't get anyone else.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe he'll be the next signing. You never know. Yeah. But yeah, so that's basically the squad we've got at the moment. So a decent squad. You know, obviously still much room for improvement. Yeah. David, where do you think we need to look at strengthening?
It's good. It's a start, but there's holes. There's major holes. Probably centre back. We need another one. I could probably see another midfielder. We've got quite a few, but I'd like to see maybe one a bit more defensive, maybe to cover for Richards. It depends how Woods plays and what he does. Really, you can't really tell. But yeah, we need definitely another left back for cover for Green, and then I think at least 2 more strikers, probably one proven. And one other thing is we need to take notice and use of the loan market. We've sort of stayed away from it so far, and other teams are announcing these youthful players on loan that they can come really, especially with that striker what I touched on earlier. We need a fast attacking sort of just runs towards goal, pretty direct, quick young lad, and I think someone like that utilizing the loan market. It'll be interesting to see if we do that or we try and tie down a few contracts. But yeah, at least one centre back, a midfielder, and 2 more strikers, and maybe with the under-23 supporting, and I don't know, maybe another fullback that could play across. We'll have to see, and I think we'll be about there.
Stedders.
Yeah, he's bang on my shopping list as well. That's exactly what I'd go for at the minute, to be honest with you. I think what's really interesting is the games that we're going to talk about in a moment that are coming up before the season starts. Last season, Mahovo played against us for Notts County in the friendly. Really enjoyed his time down at the 90 minutes he got down there and came back on loan that season. I think that these pre-seasons will help us again. Hopefully, if we can get a few more like that come and play against us and see what we're about and see that we're a pretty decent setup. Let's get a few more like them guys back, because he was stellar before he went back, to be honest with you. He had a great game in that last home game for us. I can't remember who we played against. He was fantastic. I think it was his last appearance for us, and it was his best game we had out of him. Let's get a few more of these guys back from Notts County again. We seem to have good connections with some good clubs at the minute. Let's get on the loan market, like David said. They could be vital for us again, for squad players and players in the gaps that we need to plug come this season coming up. So yeah, let's tap into them loan market, get into these contacts that we've got, obviously, with these league clubs, and get a few more of these young lads out playing football, because that's all they really want to do, most of these guys.
It's surprising, really, as well, with a player like Martin Woods, who's obviously at Boston playing, but he's obviously got huge connections with Doncaster Rovers as well. You know, you'd think maybe we could get a connection with them somehow, you know, and get some players in. I mean, obviously it worked with Deji Satona, and I wonder if they've got anyone else on their books that maybe up and coming that might be looked at. I mean, that, you know, Culverhouse might be looking at that, might be looking towards Martin Woods to see if there is any players there. We don't know, so be interesting to see. And like you said, though, I have to agree with you. Mahovo had a great, you know, month, whatever, down here, and like you say, his last game was brilliant. And it was a shame that he had to go back so soon. But it'd be interesting to see if he does come back down this season in the game on the 30th of July. But we have got some games. We start off on Tuesday, the 9th of July. it's a tricky one. That we've got a long journey. All the way to the Mortgages for You Stadium, Tattershall Road, Boston Town against Boston United, first friendly coming up. So as every year, but be the first game to try and get, see some of these new players in action. There should be a decent crowd down there, won't there, Stedders?
Yeah, I think I went down there last season. And I think the two players that I remember from that game was Tyler Knowles, who had a fantastic game that day, because I don't think he'd signed on by that point. Actually, I think he was one of the guys that was a trialist, if I remember rightly. And we signed him on not far after that. And the other one was Keaton Ward, actually, who I was very impressed by that day. But yeah, perfect opportunity to get some minutes in these legs. Don't take any of these preseason games for, as gospel, guys, just because if we're going to go and beat somebody pre-season doesn't mean that it takes anything into the league form. This is just minutes, fitness, trying things out. We'll get trialists down there at Boston Town as well, I'm sure, to make up the numbers and see where we're at. But that's what these games are for, right? And it's fantastic we can go to that club local to us and put some more pounds in their pocket as well as they look to try and get out their league this season as well.
Yeah, of course. David?
Yeah, I can't lie. I love the annual trip to Tattershall Road. It's a nice atmosphere down there. I can't lie. Seeing a few familiar faces from around the town playing for Boston Town, and seeing the new Boston United players. Thing is, though, this year could it be more under 23 focused? I'd say probably yeah. It was a bit last year. There's only a few first teamers dropped in, and that'll be interesting, especially with the under 23s, as Simpson noted that it's going on as its own like sort of team this year rather than training with the first team as much. I believe they've got at least 20 players on their books, and some good players on there as well from like Notts County and Scunthorpe, all poached away. MK Dons, though, you saw the club sign a few. Northampton with Edwin Daffin, and I can't remember the other bloke's name to save the life of me, but I'm sure they'll do well. It's an interesting decision not to see them being put in a league, but like you say, with being in and around the first team a bit, but not as much next year. Maybe it'll leave them less constraints. If they do perform well, they can get in the first team and hopefully get some points on the board in the National League with us. But yeah, I hope to see lots of people down at Tattershall Road. It's a great night, really. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, let's hope there is a new Dylan Hill in the squad this season, and we can point him out maybe at Boston Town or even on Saturday the 13th of July when they travel to Spalding to take on Spalding United at Sir Halley Stewart Field. So that'd be another interesting one. But do you think another under 23 style performance for that one, even though it's a Saturday afternoon? Stedders?
Yeah, probably. They want one, and so I think Spalding beat us last year as well, didn't they? If I remember rightly.
They did.
So, yeah, and they've been promoted as well, haven't they, this season? And of course, their captain used to play for us as well. So yeah, there's local ties there. There'll be a lot of players that I'm familiar on the Spalding side, but yeah, I could probably see a more rotational thing, won't it? It'll be one of them things. It'll be a rotational thing where they're just getting minutes in legs again. These first few games is all about fitness, gelling time as well, all things like that, and just give them Cully and Bazza the idea of what they're going to go for come August the 10th, because that'll soon come around, won't it?
It will, David.
Yeah, like you say, these first few are just about getting minutes and minutes of the play. We might see a bit more rotation this because I think Spalding are probably better opponents league wise than Boston Town. Obviously, they're very cash strapped. Got promoted last season and won 7-0 in their games to get promoted. I heard on Radio Lincolnshire that one. It's a decent setup down there. I wouldn't call it good, but it'll be nice to go there again. I went 2 years ago actually last time when we played them in the County Cup. I didn't go last year, but because it was a bit wet and windy that night, I can remember. But yeah, it'll be nice. It's just nice to go around these local clubs, I think, and just see what non-league football is all about. Just the family-orientated club, and I'd probably say Spalding fits nicely into that category. And like you say, it's just about getting minutes in legs. It doesn't matter how we perform, really. Just start it up, ready to go for the season.
That's it, and that's what all these friendlies are about, isn't it?
Yeah.
All these friendlies are all about just getting, the fitness and, not to worry too much about the results. But it looks like Tuesday the 16th of July, 7:30 kickoff, Boston United. First game at the Jakeman's Community Stadium, home to Grimsby Town. This is going to be two 60-minute games, from what I understand, which I imagine will be 60 minutes with the first team, 60 minutes with the under-23 teams, David.
Yeah, more for your money, I guess. It's interesting. We've not seen this approach before, but if it works, it works. I guess it gets more, like you say, more minutes, more fitness. The better will be by the time the season starts. And that's what I can really say. It'll be interesting to see, like you say, if they do bring two teams or if they do a big mixture in both. Like you say, I hope they respect us really now us being a better side because we've been promoted. But it's just going to be interesting to see really. Just get your ideas in your head for who's who and what does what for the start of the new season.
And you might see Joe Rowe against us in that game. You never know.
Yeah, but he's linked to everyone under the sun. You never know for the time.
Well, he is. You never know.
And the next day it's someone else, and then
he might be coming on the 20th. You never know.
Yeah, the Grimsby. We didn't win many pre-season games last season, did we? But the one that we did win was Grimsby, weren't it? I think we were 2-1 down and won 3-2 or something like that.
That's it. Second half comeback.
Yeah, something like that, wasn't it? Which then boosted us because it was one of our last games of the pre-season as well. No, could it do to Grimsby for coming down again and playing us? That'll be probably the first benchmark game, won't it? Like you say, when we go up against more higher echelons of league and league teams coming to get their pre-season started as well over there. So yeah, no, always interesting to see how we fare against teams I think that are higher than us and test us, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. And we've got they've just been announced actually, Saturday the 20th of July, home at 3 p.m, Boston against Kettering Town at the Jakeman's Community Stadium. Now, do you think this could be another under-23 run out, David?
Yeah, probably. I guess so. I haven't actually seen it because if it's just been announced, I'd say so. Maybe it's interesting to have it wedged in because I've got the list here in between Grimsby and Peterborough. It's interesting to have that in. So maybe we're going to actually put some good first teamers in or more first teamers into the Grimsby and Peterborough games and give the under-23s a bit more run out in this one. That's how I could see it working. But we've not seen Kettering when they thought they won the league against us when they come back from 2-0 down. It's not going very well for them at the moment, is it? But no, it'll be nice to see them back. I remember we had a few fruitful affairs with them, with Joe Simpson and Cully and Bazza a few years ago. But no, it'll be interesting to see them back down at the Jakemans, and I'll probably be there. I'm always there.
It's just a friendly. Just a friendly. Stedders.
Yeah, bring your plastic snakes, guys, because you're going to need them. Interesting. Very, very odd. I find this very strange for us to be hosting a team that are lower than us, to be honest with you. I can only think it's got youth in mind, and 23 setup will play this game. I think that, it's very, very, very rare that we host a team that are, like I say, lower than us. It would make more sense if we went over there and did it that way around. But yeah, it's another game in the calendar, more minutes in the legs. Again, a chance probably to use the youth and see the setup for that and see where we're at. Like you say, wedged in between another big game, which we're going to talk about again in a minute, against somebody we play against regularly.
Yeah, well, we've got Tuesday the 23rd of July, which is a 7 p.m. kickoff against Peterborough United, and that's at the Jakeman's Community Stadium. Then we play Peterborough Sports on the 27th of July at Pims Park, the home of Peterborough Sports. So 2 interesting games there.
Yeah, like you say, it's probably going to be the mixture. Like you say, one's going to go to the 20. I think this is how our pre-season is going to roll out: is 1 to the 23s, 1 to the first team, 1 to the 23s, 1 to the first team. But with the Peterborough game, obviously they should get some more minutes in their legs if we do the whole under 23s, or we do a mixture, which I think we'll probably do that game. Obviously, I can't tell. I'm not a fortune teller, but it's been a long time since we played Peterborough. Actually, not in a competitive game, obviously, but it'll be interesting to see them against Boston. have Sir Alex Ferguson's son. He's not as much of a prodigy as he was back in the day, but still.
Will we see Sir Alex down at the Jakemans watching supporting his
now
son?
That is pulling at straws. Come on.
He could put some money in the club. You never know. We could hope.
We could hope. Yeah, it should be interesting against them. I think that Peterborough Sports away one's tasty, actually. I quite like that.
Yeah.
I quite like that. I think, it's a good matchup, I think that, it could be a good test. If they go for the 23s there, it could be a bit of a risk, that, to be honest with you. I mean, they've made some decent signings as well, haven't they? Semble Ferris has gone over there, hasn't he, from Scunny. They've got a few good players in post-season. I still don't expect them to be much higher than what they usually are. They're a very steady 14, 15 every season, Peterborough Sports, aren't they? And they forever will be. They're never flirting with either end of the table, but no, a very steady side. I reckon that could be a bit more of a tougher test than what people think.
Of course. And one team that we have mentioned that we do play most pre-seasons, and Notts County on Tuesday, the 30th of July, 3 p.m. kickoff at the Jakemans Community Stadium. It should be another tasty one, Stedders.
Yeah, it might be without Macaulay Longstaff, though, because apparently he signed for Swansea, or just about to. I've been reading today, so he might not be there for them. But yeah, always a good club to connect with. We've got a good relationship with them. Let's keep that going. That'll be the big test. We'll be seeing a first 11, I think, probably starting that game. You're getting to near there, then, aren't you? First 11 status for August the 10th, because you'll be knocking on the door. It'll be them players knocking on the door on that first 11, I think, starting that game. And then pulling them all off at half time, as we tend to do. But I reckon that's a really good one to finish on, to be honest with you. Finish on a high against a good, a very decent outfit that we've got good connections with. And again, like I say, what will the opposition bring? We don't know. But it might just get some links to the club and get some players over that will come and sign for us.
Of course, David.
Yeah, I think it's a bit different from the annual tonking by Chesterfield this year. It's nice to have them down. It's nice to have Notts down, like you say. We've got a good relationship with them, and I hope it can bear some fruits this season. Hopefully, like you say, we could use them in the loan market for some of their players. We've had some successes with some players in the past. Like you say, we've got a good relationship with them, and like you say, I think it'll be a real test before the season starts.
Of course, and we finish off the 3rd of August away at Gainsborough Trinity at the North Home. Possibly maybe a mixture of under 23s and first teamers, maybe in that one, just to keep the fitness levels going, I would say. You agree with that, Stedders?
Yeah, I completely agree. I can't see anything different for that game, to be honest with you. Like you say, a mixture of probably both. Probably a 23 sprinkled with a first few teamers, and then change it all around again come half time. But yeah, always tasty again. Gainsborough away, Gainsborough Boston games are always got something riding on them, haven't they? So yeah, be interesting to get down there again and see the likes of a few of our ex-players who no doubt will be lined up against us.
Of course, and then the season kicks off Saturday, the 10th of August, the National League, first game for Boston in the National League for quite some time, and we're just waiting for the fixtures to be released. Are they due out? Did I hear July the 10th? Yes.
Correct. Yeah, July the 10th. Go on then, let's have a prediction. Who we're going to get first game?
Oh,
Barnet at home.
Barnet at home.
Oh, that's horrible. That is horrible.
I know.
Do you want to go? Would you rather go in like get chucked in the deep end, or would you like try and dip your toes in? That's one thing. Would you rather get it out the way and be a surprise package, or would you just want to creep?
To be honest, I'd probably rather dip my toes in, to be honest. But knowing Boston,
exactly.
Maybe
what do you reckon, David?
Halifax away on television is my guess.
That'll be good.
Do you reckon?
I like that. I like the look of the Shea. I've never been, but it looks like a good terrace behind that goal. I'm looking forward to that. I reckon it will get Solihull Moors away. that looks like it just pulls. It'll be a hard game, but it won't be too bad, I don't think. Go to Birmingham Airport. You fly in there and have stuff at half time.
It was interesting to see as well, Damo, weren't it, about us building a terrace for the TV as well, to make sure we get some more stuff going on that way as well. which is great, isn't it? Well, how good's that going to
It
be? More
is.
exposure for the club, more games live on TV, and hopefully we won't get tonked every time we do play on TV.
No, that's it. Hopefully we'll be on there a bit more often. So hopefully this time, yeah, and obviously we've been given money as well for the final stand, haven't we, as well? Which I guess we're just waiting for it all to go through at the moment, and then it'll be started. So that'll be interesting to see the final stand going up. Obviously, like you say, the TV terrace as well, the TV stand going up on top of the terrace. So that should be interesting. So yeah, all positive times coming up for Boston. So it should be very interesting. One other piece of news though from the National League, and it's on Southend United. The club have several months been the subject of a winding up petition. A further hearing is scheduled for this week, and on the 20th of June filed its accounts for the year to the 31st of July 2023, which underscore and amplify the concerns expressed previously in the league. This is a statement, by the way, from the National League. Accordingly, the National League has today advised Southend United Football Club that a result of the club's failure to provide the league with detailed, objective and independent evidence that the club has sufficient funds to meet its financial obligations for the forthcoming National League season. And in light of previously expressed concerns, the club will be required to post a bond of 1 million, which will be held in escrow to the order of the league. The bond will remain in place until the sooner of an ownership agreement with the consortium currently in talks with the club being successfully concluded to the satisfaction of the National League and the FA, or the club demonstrating to the satisfaction of the National League that it has sufficient financial resources within its own means to meet its financial obligations for the forthcoming season. So, not looking good for them really at the moment, is it, for Southend Stedders?
No, not at all, really, is it? What a terrible time as well. Like you say, in pre-season to get this, that they've got to sum up all this money. I'm not one for all these things like this. You know what I mean? It's a lot of money, isn't it? It's a lot of money they've got to try and stump up. And I don't want to see any team, I don't see any team struggle or financially and go into, like I say, this situation. But I'll say it again. I've said it on previous podcasts. It just makes you thank your lucky stars what we've got in charge of us, isn't it? You know what I mean? We don't find ourselves in a situation similar to this. So and it's such a shame for, like I say, Southend's a massive football club, huge place down there. Massive home ground, great home following as well. And let's hope they get themselves out of it, because let's face it, it's a better league if we're going to play them 2 times this season, isn't it?
Exactly, down at Roots Hall there, David.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going there. Hopefully it's nice and sunny, but when we go there, we'll have a nice day out. But yeah, no, I don't want to be devil's advocate, but National League, come on, they are. This has been coming. We've known it's been happening for the past 2 seasons. Like you say, rich club with rich history, but I think the National League are being a bit lenient here. If this results in them being relegated, if they can't scratch up the funds, I've heard that they can, and they've done it within a day, which is insane. I don't know how they've done that from the position that we're in. It sounds a bit dodgy to me, but nationally you are. We've seen other teams being mistreated a lot worse than this. But I think because they're up there in the bigger earners and the bigger income stream in the league, they're getting a bit favourable treatment. But yeah, like I said, I can't wait to go down there. But if I want the National League to be a bit harsher with their rules, maybe a points deduction or something, make it easier to stay up. That's my aim. I don't want to see them gone, but come on, National League, they are taking the mick.
Yeah. Well, they've got a transfer embargo at the moment, haven't they, as well? They can't sign any new players at the minute as well, which is going to make it a bit difficult for the new season. So be interesting to see what happens down there. Something to keep eyes and ears on for the next few weeks. So, right. Well, that's about it for today. Thank you both very much indeed. If you do want to subscribe, we are on YouTube under Up the Pilgrims. We are also on Spotify, Amazon Music, and on Apple Music as well. You can subscribe. Any thoughts? Go to social media and you can post your thoughts on anything that we've said today. If you agree, maybe you don't agree with what we've said, do leave your thoughts and we'll try and mention them next time. And we will, of course, be back very soon with another version of Up the Pilgrims. Until then, Stedders, David, thank you very much.
Cheers, up the Pilgrims.
Yes, guys. Thank you. See you soon, Up the Pilgrims.